So hello from Green-Mopeds in London. So today we're going to talk about the Artisan ES1-S Pro and the Sur-Ron LBX LightBee 2020. We're doing this because lots of people are comparing the two on things like Facebook, so we thought we'd just put them side by side so you can have a view on both of them together, and then hopefully that will help you make a decision. So on the right hand side we have a bike that is in the UK called the Artisan ES1-S Pro, also known as the Kollter ES1-S Pro, and also known in Europe as the Tinbot ES1-S Pro. On the left hand side we've got the off-road 2020 model of the Sur-Ron LBX LightBee. So the first thing to say is about the actual dimensions themselves. So if you're actually putting the bikes side by side, you'll see that there is a lot more to the Kollter. It is essentially a motocross bike or something like that, whereas the Sur-Ron is more like a mountain bike with a motor. Okay, so 50 kilos in weight and 1.8 meters long versus 130 kilos in weight, 2 meters long, 208 meters long, sorry, 208 meters long. Okay, so you would think that if you compared the power, the Kollter would be the choice. That's because it has 11 kilowatts max with both batteries, whereas the Sur-Ron only has 6 kilowatts. But if you actually did something like compare the power to weight ratios of them, the Sur-Ron has 70% more power for its weight than the Kollter. Okay, so that clearly means that it's more powerful, will accelerate more. You see these videos on YouTube where people are jumping over rocks and things like that. That is simply a sort of feature of the fact that it is only 50 kilos. Okay, so if you want something lightweight and powerful, then it's certainly the Sur-Ron. If you have a look at the individual components, so here on the Sur-Ron we've got 19-inch wheels with stubby tyres. You'll get those whether you buy the road legal version or the off-road version, and on the Kollter we have 17-inch sort of supermoto tyres, if you like. When it comes to options, one of the things that you can actually do is buy off-road packs or supermoto kits. So on the Sur-Ron, for example, you can put wheels like that from the supermoto kit onto the the Sur-Ron, and you can put wheels like that, but are 21-inch, onto the Kollter. Okay, both of those packs cost about £400. Okay, so that is certainly possible. Put chunky tyres on the Artisan and put smooth tyres on the Sur-Ron. That's not a problem at all. Both of them are driven by a chain. On the Sur-Ron you can change this rear sprocket to up to 58 teeth, get a longer chain for it, and that will give you a lot more torque. On the Kollter that isn't an option. Okay, but there are some options on the Kollter. Sur-Ron is known for modifications, so you'll see on the Sur-Ron UK website that you can change the forks, you can get an upgrade to the controller. As I said, you can get the rear sprocket, you can get a pedal kit. Having said that, you can only actually put the pedal kit legally onto the off-road version of this bike. Vehicles cannot have pedals officially, so that is one of the interesting things about Sur-Ron, is they make two distinct bikes for the off-road and on-road version, and lots of people want to combine the two. So they want to take a road legal Sur-Ron in places where vehicles are not allowed, or they want to turn their off-road Sur-Ron into road legal by adding the bits and thinking they can get away with that on the road, which unfortunately isn't the case. Okay, Kollter, this bike is obviously homologated to be a 125cc equivalent. Okay, so that means you would need a CBT plus L plates or an A1 or greater license, whereas on the Sur-Ron road legal version it comes out of the factory or into the UK as a 28 mile an hour moped category, as in 50cc equivalent, or L1E in electric terms. Okay, that doesn't mean to say that you cannot make it go 47 miles an hour like the off-road version. You simply play about with a cable underneath here and you will end up with a bike that does 47 miles an hour on the road. That would therefore turn it into a 125cc equivalent, and therefore you'd have to tell your insurer and be licensed to ride a 125cc bike. Okay, but it's certainly possible, and people do that. Okay, as you saw, the battery is underneath here, okay, whereas on the Kollter you have got two rather Super Socko looking batteries. What I mean by that is if you actually look at something like a Super Socko TC or TSX, you will be surprised that this isn't the same battery, albeit the connectors are a little bit different. You can have two on this bike. Okay, so you can take this off. As you can see, there's a battery in there. There's this daisy chain. So that is what I meant by you need to connect the two batteries together to make the 11 kilowatts. But you can ride it with just one, and therefore you have this space to put something in. Okay, so that is perfectly possible with this bike. As in most electric bikes, you can ride them with either one battery or two. Okay, they both come with quite quick chargers, so 15 amp charger. That will charge in about 3.5 hours, so you're good to go. When it comes to range, Sur-Ron are saying that they get 60 miles at 20 mile an hour, whereas Kollter are saying that they will get 60 miles full stop. If you sort of adjust for sort of marketing, to be honest, I've never heard of anyone doing 60 miles on a Sur-Ron, mostly because no one would ride it at 20 miles an hour. You're more likely to get 25, 30, I would say. That's more realistic. On the Kollter, if these are identical batteries to the Super Socko, which I have no reason to think they wouldn't be, the quoted range on a Super Socko battery, and these batteries would be 40 miles each. Knock off something for marketing, and you're more likely into the 30 mile per battery. Okay, and as I said, you can ride the Kollter with just one battery, but then it won't go 60 miles an hour, and it won't be 11 kilowatts. It's more like 5 kilowatts and 28 miles an hour, something like that. Okay, so when it comes to other little features of the bikes, you have underneath here, for example, you have a USB port. You have a USB port there on that blue, behind that blue rubber. The Kollter does have an alarm. Unfortunately, the Sur-Ron does not, but it has a GPS module built in. Neither of these bikes have apps, like is becoming all of the rage these days. But that's probably a small price to pay. As I said, the Kollter is capable of carrying two people, as you can see, and it's got the pegs, but Shad have now made a rack for this bike, so you can get a Shad rack that fits here, and then there's not a great selection, but a selection of top boxes that you can get from them, and you'll probably get adapters, universal plates and things like that for other top boxes that will enable you to put any top box on it. So if it's something that you want to use with two people and can take things with you and go places, then you know you don't have any storage capacity at all on the Sur-Ron. It'll be down to rucksacks and things like that, whereas at least on the Kollter you do have the ability to put a top box on it. In fact, side boxes as well, they show this bike with, so you could make it more of a touring bike if that's what you wanted to do. Okay, interestingly, just as an aside, Kollter, as you see, do actually have a little oil compartment, which is about half a litre of oil that is to lubricate the chain. No such thing on no other bike, I think, that we do has that sort of ability. So that would be a little bit of a maintenance overhead that you would have on this versus other electric bikes. Okay, in terms of colours, on the Kollter, it's on the ES1-S Pro, it is black only. On the ES1-S, there is a white only version. Sur-Ron, there are many vivid colours, so this is the black. They often do red, blue, orange, green, things like that, silver, grey, but it's often a case of whichever one the importer is bringing in. Okay. Lastly, I was just going to talk a bit about the things, some other small technical features. If you look, for example, at things like the brakes, so that is by far more of a sort of normal, let's say, brake that you'd see on a motorbike. These are, although they're fine, they do exactly what they're supposed to do. That is really why you're comparing something like a motorbike to, as we say, a mountain bike with a 6 kilowatt motor. Okay, the same is at the back, as it happens. Whereas, as you can see here from the chambers, you've got hydraulic ventilated discs front and back on the Artisan. Okay, in terms of price, if you compared the road legal version of the Sur-Ron to this particular ES1-S Pro, there's about £50 in it. So 4495 for the road legal Sur-Ron versus 4416 for the Kollter. Off-road version of the Sur-Ron is 4,000. Okay, if you wanted an ES1S and didn't have the second battery, you would be about £3,000 for the ES1S Pro, but with one battery. Okay, so quite a few choices there. Okay, so I hope you find that useful. We obviously have reviews of these bikes on their own. We have ride reviews of these bikes. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact us at hello@greenmopeds.com. Thanks very much.